Today we're actually talking about an old legend from last set, Kha'Zix. We're going to talk about the Void Reaver's popularity, everything he has to offer, and why this orange and purple legend is seeing a crazy amount of really good play. We have a beautiful overnumber art for Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix came out in Unleashed. Surprised that you'll see it now, but I've seen a lot of play and popularity even at the showdowns and even at locals. Kha'Zix Void Reaver, when you win a combat, gain 1 EXP. Now, not a lot of EXP support came out in Vendetta, but this deck has seen a lot of benefit from some of the orange cards, like Rampage, that have come out in this set. When you win a combat, gain 1 EXP, spend 1 EXP, and tap this legend to buff a unit, so you can raise the might of other things. Spend 2 EXP, and tap this to move an exhausted friendly unit from battlefield to its base. This helps keeps your units protected, so you can always swing and always attack, but you can always bring them back. Next we have Kha'Zix, Mutating Horror, Purple Kha'Zix. Purple Kha'Zix is a great CC because he's a 4 energy, 1 power. He has ambush, so it's reaction, so you can play him directly like reaction speed from your CC. When he attacks or defends, if an enemy unit is alone here, give him +2 this turn and gain 2 XP. So you get that XP regardless of whether you win the combat or not, even if he dies. But this is a great unit because usually there's a combo between Fey Folk and this card, where you pull their unit in, it's a single unit that you're pulling, you play Kha'Zix on turn 2, you guarantee the kill. You might lose the Fey Folk, but you'll get a Kha'Zix now holding, and you'll get an EXP, you can tap, bring him back, and keep him safe for the next attack. Let's jump into the battlefields. Often you will see Star Spring as your opening battlefield, your opening blind battlefield. A lot of movement in this deck. There's tons of movement in this deck. So you want to play your 2-drops, move them back, play your other units, move them back. If you're playing Rengar or Kha'Zix here, you're going to get to move a free unit back. So why not play Star Spring? If you don't want to pair into a Master Yi playing Star Spring as their open, then I would maybe change this to Forbidding Waste, which is your going second battlefield, because assuming it's Master Yi that you're playing into or other decks that are holding, Forbidding Waste puts, while a unit is defending here alone, it has -2 might, which helps you get over clearing that might difference. And then your going first battlefield is Sandswept Tomb. Each spell that chooses 1 or more units here that have friendly units to it costs 1 power less. So this lets you pay less for your Ride the Winds, less for your signature spell, and less for your Star-Crossed when you need to remove things. Let's get into the deck. Starting off with the units, we have 3 Irresistible Fey Folk. Irresistible Fey Folk is a great orange card, obviously from Unleashed and not in Vendetta. Irresistible Fey Folk is a 2 energy unit, but it has 1 might. When I move to a battlefield, you may move an enemy unit to that battlefield, so it's kind of like a pseudo charm. Like I said, the play that you'll make is you'll move Irresistible Fey Folk, you'll pull their 2-drop that they played on your turn 2, and then you will play your Kha'Zix for the 4 energy, 1 power. Yes, you down ramp a little, but you guarantee a point, you guarantee removal on their unit, and you'll trade off some EXP. Traveling Merchant is your next 2-drop. You want to cycle through your cards, you want to see the variance in this deck, so discarding a card and drawing a card is very useful. You also play Kennen in this deck, so it's okay to draw power spells or things later, because when he conquers, you'll be able to give it flow and then play the card again. Another great unit coming out of Vendetta is actually Shadow Order Disciple. Shadow Order Disciple saw a lot of really good play in Kennen in different variants. I also really liked it in the Zed deck. When I move, you may burn 1 to give me 1 this turn. Often you're moving this card multiple times, so you can get this card to be pretty high in might. We play 1 Fizz because 1 Fizz gets you to replay 1 of the spells in your grave multiple times. You also can Star-Cross this unit so you can get it back in your hand and then play it again to use a different spell. If you don't know what Fizz at this point, Fizz is a great card. You could bump this up if you don't like Kennen or Zed, but I think 1 Fizz is just enough to get the job done. 1 Kennen. Some people play more than 1. I really like 1 Kennen. Kennen is a new unit from Vendetta. It's a 3 energy, 1 purple power. It's a 4 might unit. When you play him, burn 2. When you conquer, give a spell in your trash, flow equal to its cost. So you're going to give a Ride the Wind or a Star-Cross or anything the ability to be played again. Even a stack deck. You can get a stack deck back and just kind of like a pseudo Kennen signature spell. You can use Kennen to do that. Kennen in paired with Zed or Kha'Zix is really good because you can get some double conquers going, move him out for safety, and just always keep him at your base instead of on a battlefield. Next, we play 2 Purple Zed, Zed Without a Sound. Zed Without a Sound is a 5 energy, 5 might unit that, again, comes up. If you haven't seen the deck profile for the Zed deck profile, this Zed purple unit is great because when you conquer, you make a Shadow Clone in your base. And then Zed's action ability is 1 energy and 1 purple power to move him and the Shadow Clone unit you control to each other's location. So they can swap location, kind of like Zed's W, which is kind of cool. But that ZW keeps him protected, safer, and then you can use the Kha'Zix Legend ability to bring Kennen back or another unit back that isn't using this ability. You can also swap on action to join a combat if you really want to, or use the many cards that are in your grave for the Shadow Clone when you're attacking to give it Assault 4. So very, very, very good unit. I think this is a crazy card in this deck, and it's good that it's seeing a lot of power in a lot of other decks. I think if like we didn't get Rasa or we had other cards to play in Kennen, I think that would be a really good card to play in Kennen as well. One of the best orange cards in the game. I really thought playing this at 3 was useful, but you just need a lot of variance. You want to see this sometimes and not all the time, and our personal rule on this channel is if you want to see something sometimes, you play it at 2. Rengar Trophy Hunter is an ambush card, very similar to Kha'Zix. You can play it from your hand. On reaction speed, it costs 5 energy and 1 power. You know they're going to play it if they have a lot of untapped mana, and in this, or untapped runes, and in this type of deck, there is a lot of reaction and interaction with the deck. I can be played to a battlefield where there are enemy units. So you can play Rengar straight from your hand directly to a battlefield without anything else. You can just play it there. What a cool card, busted almost. And if you play this as Star Spring, you can move the unit that was already there back because Rengar can stay there on that battlefield for you. On to the spells. We played 2 copies of Gust. Gust is a great removal spell that helps get rid of the 2-drop if you don't see Fey Folk and you're worried about them scoring points, or if it's a Master Yi deck and you're worried about the might difference, you can just bounce the unit back to their hand. Stack Deck is a really good card because it lets you see all the different tools in your deck. This deck is full of movement and full of other cards that you want. Make a lot of decisions based on what you get off the Stack Deck, so Stack Deck first and then see what your options are available and then make your choices. Stack Deck is a really good card for that. Great purple card. This deck is just full of purple and orange. Like, who knew that these cards were going to be nuts? Speaking of nuts cards, Sabotage. You know, if you're worried about their star-crossed when you want to do a combat, or if you want extra information, you just get to look at their hand and pull a non-unit card. You can't pull their Rengar, but you can pull their star-crossed, you can pull their punch first. This happened to me at a showdown. I was playing Master Yi, and the Kha'Zix player sabotaged me and took my punch first before I could punch first them, and then they punch firsted me to get over the battlefield. It was cool. Sabotage is cool. Cool card. Speaking of punch first, you have your punch first here. You play 3 of them because anytime you need to clear a battlefield or attack over, you're getting double conquer points, you're swinging all the time. Punch first is the thing that'll get you there, and it'll always get you there. And it can't be countered because it costs 2 power. Flash. I thought about adding this because I really like the movement in this deck. I really like the protection. When you already tap your legend or you can't protect anything else, or you really do want to protect something to swing again next turn. I kicked this from the Draven playbook where attacking and winning a combat is better. At this point, Flash is a really good card. I think as a power 1-of, I mean, you know I like to build my decks with power 1-ofs in them. Flash is a good card for that. Speaking of power 1-ofs, you play 1 Hard Bargain. You never know when a punch first is going to get countered, or when you're going to need a way to counter other things, like a movement spell or a Ride the Wind or something. Hard Bargain's a really good card for countering a spell, and usually the bigger spells that they tap out for, so they don't have the energy to pay for the ability to play it still. Grim Resolve is a really good pump that came out in Unleashed. Uses the benefit of XP because it also gives you XP. Give a friendly unit +3 this turn, which is higher than a +2, so a little bit better than Discipline for the same energy. It's also an action, so it can be played in combat, and then you get XP, so you can use that XP from your legend to buff other cards, which is super useful as well. There's a lot of movement in this deck, so let's talk about it. We play 2 Ride the Wind and 3 Void Assault. Ride the Wind moves a unit and readies it. You do have to declare your target of the unit and the location of where it's going when you do that. Void Assault is the same thing. Move a friendly unit, comma, then move an enemy unit. It's all one effect, so you can use Void Assault as a Ride the Wind, and you can move their unit away. You can also use it kind of like a Ride the Wind and a Charm at the same time. You don't end up as you don't land ready with Void Assault, but it's a good way to force a combat if you really want to. It's great with the Kha'Zix alone, or it's great for just Rengar. It's just like super useful to control the combat level that you're at. A new good card that helps you keep your powerful units protected is Up from the Deep. Up from the Deep gives you 2 tentacle tokens from Bilgewater. I don't know where else they could be from. Obviously, they're probably from Bilgewater. This card also has Flow, so you only play 2 because likely if you play 1, you're probably going to play it again from your grave. At this point, you haven't encountered Flow. Flow is a brand new keyword from Vendetta that lets you play cards for a new cost from grave or trash. So if this card is burned from Kennen or somehow discarded from Merchant, you can just play it from your trash anyways. This is good for call protection. This is good for everything else that you are worried about when it comes to removal, and having a tentacle that you can somehow boost with a punch first. I can't imagine you do that. If you do that, let me know in the comments below, because that sounds like a crazy story. But if you don't, tentacles are just good protectors for everything else. Rampage, man, what a card. Since playing E and then since playing Kha'Zix and testing, Rampage is nuts. I wanted to play this card at 3. I considered cutting another card for it, but I think 2 is a good place to have it at, especially because of the power cost. As you play this, you may pay 1 body rune, or body power, choose a friendly unit and an enemy unit. If you pay the additional cost, give the friendly unit +2. So buff your unit, and then does a pseudo challenge to them, non-action speed. So they deal damage equal to their mites to each other. So essentially, you're going to use Rampage on your Rengar, you play a body power, it gives your Rengar +2, and then it'll deal that total 8 mites to whatever unit they have. It's extremely useful for removal. It hits base, it gets bigger units out of the way. If you have a unit on your board that's stuck and you can't really get it to swing, but you want to remove something, you can just use Rampage instead. I really enjoy this card. I like it a lot. Speaking of more removal, you have Starcross. For the units that you can't fight, or you can't beat, or you can't target, or you can't choose, you're gonna, well, I guess you can't choose it if it's Starcross, but Starcross lets you bounce your unit and bounce one of their units back to their owner's hands. It's anything. This almost was 1 Starcross, 1 Rebuke, but the deck is a teensy bit power hungry, and I don't want to spend 2 purple power without seals or a gold generator. If you're playing something that's a little bit more gold generating, if you're making treasures or anything like that, then you can play Rebuke instead, but Starcross also removes units from base instead of units from just battlefields, and that's why this is a better choice over Rebuke. Into the side, we have our follow-up copy of Starcross the 3rd copy, because there's a lot of removal and sometimes you got to get rid of things without fighting them. This is the deck for it, and you can play this card. You can decide it in over any other power 3. Just don't take out Rampage, because I just don't think it's worth it. I'd take it out over a 2-drop, because if you're going second, likely times you don't need all the 2-drops that you need. I'd say over a Merchant for sure. Sabotage, the 3rd one, again, if it's Aurora or anything else, and you really are worried about them playing cards that are problematic towards your game plan, you can just remove them before you make any movements or plays. That way you don't get bounced yourself. Invert is a great card because Lux Loop still exists, and for decks that do draw a lot of cards like green decks, that's pretty much where this deck struggles against the decks that can like outdraw you. Invert resets their hand, it resets yours, it puts cards in grave that you can cast with flow, so you don't necessarily lose a lot for discarding your hand, and usually you're not going to play this while you have Rengar in your hand, so there's kind of like a nice balance between the two. Abandon for the spells you want to put back in their hand. Often I pair Abandon with Invert so that you can put the card back in their hand. It's going to take a turn for them to cast, and then you can Invert and you can send that card that you put back in their hand to the grave. Abandon's a really good card for signature spells and other cards that the player often wants to see more of. So like if you're playing against Diana and you want to abandon their Moonfall, it's a good counter. If they have enough mana, they'll probably cast it again, so you want to use this on higher cost spells that they can't cast twice. Double Vex. Originally I had this card in the deck, and I kind of tried to find a nice balance between the two. I cut a 2-drop and I cut the bargain. Vex is a really great unit in the side for when you want to hold. The difference is you stun a unit, they can't move it, but if you want to kill it, you can move it. So if you play a Vex and then you Void Rush it into you, you have a perfect opportunity to kill something that is stunned, so it can't deal you any damage, and they had no control over whether it moved in the first place. I think this is a really good combo with the signature spell, but it only comes up very rarely when you need to remove problematic cards, and less when you're just attacking, because the Kha'Zix game plan most often is to just attack. 2 Decree of Strength, you want to rip away, or you want to rip Watcher, you want to rip a lot of blue cards out of their hands. You also want to recycle them. You can play this into even Jace Aurora, you know, if you want to rip the Promising Future or something. Realistically, Decree of Strength is a really good card to get rid of blue cards. I think it's a very powerful card, even into Nasus, honestly, to get rid of some blue cards. Realistically, this card is a great side deck card. It's not a great main deck card. It's not forced to be main deck card. You can even use it against Lux Loop if you want, but realistically, like, this is a good card for the side. Last card for the side, of course, you don't want to play into Aurora, you want to bounce gears, you want to keep Aurelia at a normal game state. That's Ravenbloom Prefect. Ravenbloom Prefect is a card that came out of Vendetta. It's a 3 energy, 3 might unit that when an opponent plays a gear, you may banish her to banish it. So you lose it for the trigger, but you can kind of put it down and like hold tension on whether they're going to play it or not. They're going to have to find a way to get rid of this card before playing their gear, if they don't want to lose their gear instantly. So great side deck card for Aurora and other gear-based matchups. And that's it. That's the deck profile. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Subscribe for more quality content. We are trying to get to 1,000 subs before the end of the year. It's a slight goal I had for myself, but I really do appreciate all the audience that I built and all the fans that I see in all kinds of places. If you guys would just have suggestions or changes for the deck, let me know in the comments below. I've loved playing this deck. I love the overnumber. I love the fact that we can still play this deck without any EXP bonuses for this set, and people still find enjoyment in playing it. I also think it's really cool to play Rengar in Kha'Zix in the same deck. It's kind of like lore based. It's neat. It's just neat to have, and I hope that we have more decks like that balance out in the lore. And I think the new Zed is a great addition, and I think the new Kennen is a great addition. And if you guys test this deck out, let me know how it goes. Thanks for watching.